I'm setting an example for my kids.
I got me a side hustle.
I have more control of my destiny.
I need multiple streams of income.
It's hard work, but I'm working for me.
A job is cool, but I need more.
It's all about being self-employed. You're tuned into the world of Self-Employed and Rising with Art Taylor, where we bring you the amazing stories of people who are challenging the odds and following their dreams of self-employment. Learn from their successes and be inspired. Hear creative ideas for your business and find tips to take your hustle to another level. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Self-Employed and Rising. I'm Art Taylor, your host, and today we have a very interesting show focused on drones. Yes, drones, the things that fly around in the air that we have probably imagined where they came from. Why are these things flying around? We think of them obviously in terms of military operations, but there are actually lots of people who own drones as well. For instance, have you realized that there are about 1.2 million drones or something like that? And that there are something like 400 and some odd thousand people that actually own drones? People that own drones in the world. And these things are doing all kinds of work for us. Everything from photographs to helping people to figure out what's going on in their roofs, and they have applications in a lot of different industries right now. And to talk with me is someone who got caught up in this industry and started a business doing it, and that's my good friend Shari Williams, who is the goddess of drones. Shari, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Art Taylor, for having me on the show. I am so happy to be here, and I am so delighted to talk about drones because it's just such an amazing field, and I want everybody to know about it.
Well, great. Well, Shari, how did you get connected to drones? What drove you to be a drone pilot?
Well, the quick story is I basically was introduced to drones from the oil and gas industry. I worked in the oil and gas industry and for a trade association, and we hosted conferences, and we had a conference track, and it was all about drones. And I would sit in on some of those sessions and learn a few things about it, but it was mostly from the oil and gas industry. And then fast forward a few years, and my good friend came to me and she said, Shari, I know you're a STEM advocate and you love all things STEM. I have something that may help you scale your business if you're interested in it. And at first I'm like, I'm not really interested in it. I'm doing all these other things and I'm okay. But she's like, I really think you will be, and I really have to show you. So she introduced the drone to me by coming to my house. We went up to the local park. She pulled out this big black box. She turned something on. She threw it up in the sky and she said, Shari, you're a professional model. Wouldn't you like to have a camera in the sky? And I look up. Already, I look up. I'm like, absolutely. Yes. Why not? Can I hold this thing? What can I do with this thing? And I was automatically hooked on the drone. I said, what are the capabilities? And she said, I really feel that you should take my course and learn all that you can about the industry. It's a booming industry. You just gave some stats, and it is a really booming industry, and a lot of people can take advantage of it. So I got involved in the industry about 4 years ago, 2017.
So you actually became a drone pilot as a result of this. So now, did you have any other background? You mentioned you were in the gas and oil industry, and somehow you probably came across it, but I guess it didn't cross your mind to actually engage in drone piloting. But this introduction that you had really turned you on to it, and you had the one application of using it as a model where you have a camera in the sky. But there are obviously lots of other applications too. And one of the things you decided to do was get your license and then begin teaching other people how to pilot a drone as a way of starting a business. Is that correct?
That is correct. How to pilot a drone, as well as we prep you to take the Part 107 knowledge exam that's offered by the FAA. So yes, there's courses out there you can take, free courses, internet, YouTube, this, that, and the other. But I found that there was a gap right there in that space, and my mentor hired me as one of her drone pilot instructors. I already had experience with speaking and speaking engagements and all of that. So it was a natural fit. And that's what I've started to do, teach drone classes, not only for her company, but then I went on to get some other contracts and teach for other people. So I just love teaching. I think that I'm helping the next generation of people coming up, as well as older people that are changing careers or trying to find something to supplement their income.
So, Shari, what are people doing with this drone skill and this certification? What's the certification, by the way?
It's called the Part 107, and it is the CFR Part 107, which is what regulates us. And so you're getting a Part 107. And under that, you're getting your Airman Knowledge license. You take the test and you get your
So
license.
you really can't just go out and start
So
flying a
I,
drone. I mean, you get these things at the hobby stores or you order them online, they come to your house. You're not allowed to fly them unless you have a license. Is that what I'm hearing? Oh,
well, no,
okay.
that's not true. You can be a recreational flyer and fly drones for fun activity. But you still have to know the state safety rules and
Okay.
regulations, and you must follow those things in order for you to stay safe, as well as people on the ground. So you still want to know the rules, the regulations. The FAA, they do a great job making sure that people get that information. So the information is out there. But if you want to make money with your drone, and you are taking money for, let's say, droning a roof or inspecting a cell phone tower or some other kind of structure, and you're taking monetary money, then it is civil in nature, and now you are doing business. So there's two types. You can be a commercial or you can be a recreational flyer. Or you could be both. I'm a recreational flyer and I'm a
What
licensed
are some
pilot.
of the things you like to do as a recreational flyer?
Well, there was one cool project that I did pre COVID, and it wasn't like it was a fun project. I think it was a needed project, and what it was highlighting women that were slain by police officers. 40 women, and it was during the Say Her Name movement, which is still a movement, and so they wanted to do a visual sort of ceremony to recognize these women. So I was the drone pilot and I have footage in that video. So I'm very proud of that. It was something that was very heartwarming for not only the family, but very glowing for the movement as well. So that was one of the highlights for me. I think that was something beautiful to capture.
When you talk about drones, what are some of the things that people are doing to make money off of this?
Sure, absolutely. So some of the applications, you can work for insurance companies, you can work for real estate companies, you can work for big box corporations and companies such as the Amazons, the UPSs of the world. You can work for Boeing. There's so many avenues and so many commercial businesses out there that can utilize a drone. You can be in healthcare. You can be in agriculture. You can be in aquaculture. There's It's just so many avenues. I say that right now we need pilots, and so once we have enough pilots in the pipeline, of course things get a little bit more competitive. But right now, folks are looking for qualified drone pilots that are licensed to do this work. So it could be a telecommunications company as well as an energy company. So it runs the gamut across the industries.
There's a lot of money being made, obviously, with these things, and you are making money teaching people how to take advantage of them. Now, but let me get into some of the key areas that people have to learn about that you're teaching. One thing you mentioned that is kind of fascinating is that this whole area is regulated by the federal government, right? The which agency is regulating the Aviation Administration, FAA.
The Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, is who issues us our license. And so let's go over just some quick regulation rules. One, you can get licensed at age 16. All right. And there's no age limit to cap that. You can come at 35, 45, 25, 75. You can still get a license. Your license is good for 2 years. You have to go into a testing facility to take the test, the initial test. And then after your remote drone pilot, the rest of it is just continued learning. So the next time you take your test, you'll be taking your test online, and they will test your knowledge again and again and again. As the industry changes, they want to make sure that you're up to speed on the
So,
regulations.
Sherry, when a person goes out and gets this education, now they're armed with the tools to maybe capitalize on it monetarily. You did by deciding to maybe educate others. What made you decide that that was the course of action for you, or are you doing a lot of other things aside from just education?
Well, one of the things I'm doing is teaching. And I love to teach. I was already doing public speaking. And so it was just kind of like a natural fit. And my mentor was the first person that hired me. She said, listen, we're just building a team. So why not hire the students that you train? So that's how it started. I started working for my mentor. And from that experience, I had other people tap me and ask me to do drone jobs for them, look at their roof, events, all kinds of various different things. The requests are kind of weird sometimes, but then you say, okay, let me see how I can make that work. So it's all kinds of requests. So from that experience, I just went on and decided that I was going to do workshops and start teaching. And so I started to come on shows like this show today, talk about my training and talk about the courses and talk about what we offer at Shari Williams Enterprises. And then that it just kind of took off from there. And so we have classes virtually and in person. We have students from all over, and we are really trying to feed the pipeline with qualified people.
Sherry, are schools, like, public schools offering courses in drones? Have you been asked to connect with any schools around this, or is that an opportunity?
Yes, schools are offering, some schools are offering programs, because there's a lot of different drone companies out there, and there's a lot of people in the educational space. So they're starting to offer different programs in various schools, whether it be public schools or private clubs and groups. So what we do is we customize a program that works for you. So you, the client, for your school, your club, your organization, whether that is you want a 8 to 10 week program, 3 week program, 1 day program, or if you want a series of programs where you're going to start them off and then you're going to build them to the next level, or an intro. We also do companies. We go out and we'll do leadership training and all those different things that you do to keep your teams together. Show them how to work a drone and do some obstacle courses with them. It gets kind of challenging because people are become competitive, but at the end of the day, it is a lot of fun, and it gets everyone engaged, because at the end of the day, you have to work together as a crew, and that's where that leadership
One of the
comes in.
things I thought was pretty cool, you mentioned something about a summer camp, a drone camp or something like that, right? Which I thought was really fun. I mean, there are all kinds of
Yes.
camps out here right now. Why wouldn't you want to go to a summer camp and learn how to fly a drone, right?
Right. So this past summer, I was able to do my very first drone camp, and my camp is called "Shut Up and Fly with the Goddess of Drones."
Shut up and fly.
And so, "Shut Up and Fly with the Goddess of Drones." And so we had a camp that lasted 8 weeks, and we had students that They were in a lot of different things, but they came to our program every day, Monday through Friday. They got paid to come through the program, all right, and they got this training. So how cool is that?
Real cool.
So we have one student that I'm very proud of. He went on, he got his piloting license as a drone pilot, and now he's off to college. I just mailed this drone off to him, and I said, "Well, do you want me to drop it off at your house?" And he's like, "No, can you mail it to the school?"
You mean you gave him a drone?
I said, "Absolutely."
You gave him a drone?
I gave him his.
Oh, wow. How cool is that?
I gave him a practice.
So, Shari, but wait, let me ask you, how accessible is this to kids from lower income backgrounds? I mean, are they getting opportunities, or what can we do to get them opportunities? Because this is an emerging technology that kids can really take advantage of.
Well, I would say that we have to create the
Okay.
opportunities. That's what we did with the summer camp. We created that opportunity. The camp had 3 other tracks, but it did not have a drone or a visual communications track, and that's what we called this. And so if you create those tracks within your programs, you can have a drone program, or we can start something from scratch. So yes, we need more. Yes, the opportunities are there. I'm working with some students right now, and they're from 3 different zip codes in Wilmington, Delaware. So it's a matter of where the dollars go to and how they put the program together. But definitely, some programs are being offered. We can do more in our communities. Just send them to me. I'll train
I
them.
hear you. Now, one of the organizations you worked with was an organization I had previously been affiliated with for many years, Opportunities Industrialization Centers, right? Now, OIC is a national job training program. And I understand you had a drone school, a drone course through OIC, right?
Well, yes, I did do some work with OIC. That was one of my very first contracts. I was not the
Okay.
prime contractor on that. I was a subcontractor that worked for a drone company that they hired, which is amazing. And so I had the opportunity to teach probably about 10, 20, 30, maybe 50 students during the life of that program. And a lot of them passed their tests, and a lot of them are working in the industry. Some of them are working in other industries, but they have their license. Remember, you can re-up every 2 years and continuously get that and have it, and then you can just activate it when
Okay,
you're
well,
ready.
how does a person even connect with you to know where they can learn how to be trained? And what do you need to get started learning about drones?
So how can they connect
Yes.
with me to learn about more? Well, they can simply go to my website and connect with me, and that is www.goddessofdrone.com. Leave the S off, goddessofdrone.com, or ShariWilliamsEnterprises.com. And I can give out my phone number a little bit later, or email, but you can connect with me. And if you call me or connect with me, I'm going to call you back, and we're going to sit down. We're going to, go over what a plan may look like for you. I think that is the best way for people to connect. And I'm also on Facebook, Instagram. What is the other one? LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'm under Goddess of Drones. On Facebook, you can find me under Shari Williams Enterprises. And on LinkedIn, you can find me under Shari Williams. So I'm on social media as well. And I'm accessible. You find me, you will not get rid of me.
Listen, let's take a quick break. We gotta pay some bills, and then we'll come back and talk more about drones, but also want to get into Shari Williams, the business owner. We'll be right back after this break. Okay, everyone, welcome back to Self-Employed and Rising. I'm Art Taylor, your host. We've been having a really lively conversation about drones with the goddess of drones, my good friend Shari Williams. Shari, it's been great to have you for this first segment of our show. Now we're going to get into the second segment, where I want to talk a little bit more about drones, but I want to get into Shari Williams, the business owner, the business boss. I mean, you're doing a lot of things to not only keep your interest, but to also enrich yourself and your family and friends, so to speak. and to create community around your businesses, I want to talk about Shari Williams, the business owner, the entrepreneur, the person who values self-employment. And I want to take some of the things that you've learned and you've integrated into your life and share with others who may be similarly thinking about what they can be doing to enrich themselves and their family and to do things that are frankly interesting and build out passions. So Shari, when you started talking about drones, you had already been involved in a number of businesses. What are some of the businesses that you've been connected with?
So, Shari Williams Enterprises, we've been in business for 10 years, and we provide PR consulting, event planning, workshops and presentations. We have a speakers bureau. We do a wonderful, fabulous event every year called Woman Up Initiatives Hat and Tea Awards Party, which is a large event, and that's some of the spaces that I've been in: event planning, modeling since age 15. Always had a job, but always had a desire to be part of entertainment and the arts, so and communications and things like that. So the 5 things that I would say is business is long and it should be steady, right? You can't try to do everything, especially if you're a small business woman or owner and you're trying to build. And so you can't look at folks on social media and say, oh wow, I should be doing that. You have to follow your plan. Whatever plan you laid out for your business, that's the plan that you should be following. The second thing I would say is you have to have people that are committed to helping you grow. So if you have a table of friends or family, whatever it is, and they're not talking your language, if I can't call you and have a drone conversation with you because you're too busy, you don't want to talk about drones, then I am going to call the next person that wants to hear from me, wants to talk to me about drones, the things that I care about to grow my business. And so you want to have people that buy into your vision and your passion, and you want to grow with those people so that they're not just only working with you, but they become partners and you develop things together. So that's really key. And then capital. You want to go out and get some capital to help you. If you have it like that, that's great. But if you can go out and get some capital, that's always very good. And then commitment. You have to have people on your team that are committed to what you're trying to do. And that's the only way I can have a 9-to-5 job and run a business. And I've been running my business for 10 years doing the same method. And then the last is time management. If you don't have time management, you cannot get any of these things done because, again, you still have family, you have friends, you have other commitments, and you have to balance all of those things out. So I'm really key on time management. If it's not on my schedule, it's probably not real.
I hear you.
So if it goes on the schedule, it's a real thing. Even if it's just a 20-minute conversation and you want to talk and just talk, I'm going to commit that time because I think what happened with COVID, it's very unfortunate for a lot of things that we're going through, but it actually helped my business. It helped me grow and it helped me have more time to really focus on what direction I wanted to go in and how I should scale it. And so the things that I came up with was time commitment, time management, commitment, capital, people, right? And a good business plan.
Yeah, well, a couple of those you mentioned can be very difficult. The capital one is particularly tough for people, who may not have a whole lot to get started. And, now they got to figure out, well, where do I get some money to get started? Or where do I get the support I need to get started? And for some people, it's even, how do I even put together a budget to even tell somebody what I need to get started? So I guess that can be very challenging. How did you manage to get over that one?
Well, that's challenging, but since I know how to do those things, I was able to do it for myself, and that was already part of the event planning and event planning and management of events and things like that. So I feel like that's just in that same bucket. All right, we don't have money for this project, so let's look at the resources that we want to look hat for this particular project. So you have to go in with some sense of your market, who's your target audience, and who are your targeted sponsors, who are the people that would likely sponsor what you're doing because it fits with what they're doing. So you got to find like-minded people. So the capital could be a problem, but get creative. Rather than getting Christmas gifts, can you say, can everybody invest $500 into me and my business? Okay, so if you got 10 people to do that, do the math. Maybe they say I can't do 500. Okay, can you do 250? Can you do 300? But letting them know, if you give me $300, this is what I'm going to use it on. If you give me $300 right now, I can tell you I'm going to buy another practice drone for one of my students. So you have to have a plan on, you have to sell that, whether you're going into the bank or if you have another investor or angel investor, whatever it is, you have to lay it out. So now I'm being asked to, Shari, can you come and do a program for us? And we need to know every intricate piece of that program. Well, that's why you hire me, so we can provide that for you.
Yeah, I think sometimes, Shari, people need to think big. You need to think about, well, what can I do to change something in the world through my business activity? What will the world look like if I'm successful? And then a lot of things begin to cascade from that. You get, first of all, inspired by your vision, and then you begin to bring others in. So if, for instance, I said, my goal is to create a way for people in the inner city to be able to fly drones and make money, now I can begin to think about all the things I need to do in order to make that happen, some of which would also lead me to partners who might want to join me in that activity, right? So that now you're building a whole ecosystem around your vision. And from your vision, you can decide how specifically you want to help and what partners you need to bring in. And sometimes just talking about that vision will get others to want to contribute in some way to what you're doing. So I think a lot of times people get hung up in their own myopathy. We just think that, well, it's just me. What am I going to do? How I'm just this, individual out here trying to do something I've never done before. Yes, that can feel daunting, but your vision is the thing that I believe will get other people excited and get them to join you in what you're doing. So I so appreciate you telling our guests and others who may be sitting on the fence now, that it's all about being creative. Don't just assume that the way you have to do it is the way other people did it, or the way people who have more resources do it. You have resources that you don't even know about, but it's all about your ideas and your vision.
I would totally agree with that. Some of the other projects that I loved is I had an opportunity during COVID to go on a women's business retreat to Turks and Caicos Island. That was put on by women, and I was able to go there and do the drone footage for the ladies, the parasailing and boating and this and that. It was just an amazing time, but that was a curated event. So what we do at Shari Williams Enterprises is curate experiences, and the drone is a major part of that experience, and we really try to see how that's going to fit into the aesthetics of what the person is looking for. So that was a great event. I had a vacation out of it. I worked. I traveled. I mean, like, having a drone and being able to make money with that drone can carry you all across the entire world.
How about that?
So collaboration and partnerships is definitely, I'm looking for. I'm always looking to add to what we're doing, and it has to be people of like mind, because it's just no time to waste, because we're already behind. So if we don't catch up, we're already behind. So we just really need to catch up, because the opportunities are there, but they're not going to wait for us. We have to catch up to where it is.
So Shari, you mentioned time management. I know that's a big one too. You have a family, you have a husband who has his own very active career. You have your job and other businesses that you're managing. You have friends that you want to keep up with, and you have social events that you like to participate in. And how do you do it all? How do you manage all that and not feel overwhelmed? Or maybe you do feel overwhelmed sometimes. I should ask, when you're feeling overwhelmed, what do you do?
Well, usually, yes, there are many times when you can feel overwhelmed. Usually, if I have a problem, I try to figure out a solution, and if that is the person that can help me with the solution, I usually hang on to that person and say, "Hey, I need to count on you if this issue arises. I need to count on you to fix this for me." So I really just want to make sure that people that are on my team or I'm on your team, that we can be accountable to each other. So one of the things that I do in the morning, I start off my morning with my morning prayer, of course, and then I go into my fitness routine. That is 30 minutes I try to give to myself. And during that time, I meditate to say, Lord, this is what I want my day to look like. This is what I want to get accomplished. I always have a pad and a pen. I have a notepad. I'm a little old school. I have notepad because I write it down. These are the things that I need to get done. And it's like 10 items. It might be 20 items. And when I get done with one item, I check it off and I keep it moving. I'll put a little note beside it. But it also helps me keep a little bit of order as well. So writing things down, keeping, if I'm only talking to you for an hour, it's an hour. If it's an hour, 20 minutes, I need to know that, because that might be 20 more minutes that might be leading into my free time where I'm going to just relax, or maybe a phone call I have to make, or just simply a business function that I have to get done. So it's hard when you're talking about time management to other people that are used to having all of your time. And now that you're more engaged with your business and you're moving in different circles, you have to remind people what you're trying to do, because if you don't, they don't get it or will understand how serious you are about time management and staying focused and on your own trajectory.
So, Shari, there are always people around who want to point you in 9 different directions. All of them sound good, but they may not be for you. How do you discern the kind of things that you should be putting your time in and the things that you probably should let go?
Well, if it's causing you stress, that is a big indication that you got to let it go. I mean, just let it go. I'm more of a person that let's try to get to the end root of the issue. All that stuff in between, I probably don't want to hear, but I try to what is the solution? Because we got to get done with this and move on, because we got things to do. So my opinion is that people need to learn how to block out the noise, the unnecessarily graveling of things, the unnecessary noise. And you do that by blocking people, turning your phone down, staying off social media when you really don't need to be on social media. I use social media as a tool to get out information about what I'm doing with my students and the business and things like that. And I love to go on social media and see other things, but I'm not engrossed in that. That can take hours of your time. So don't let that steal your time. Let it be a tool for you to use, but don't let it steal your time. And don't let your family members steal your time as well. Someone that wants to call you up and talk about problems, I always say, put a pin in it. We can come back to that, because my brain capacity can't handle that if I'm already in a different mode of teaching, or I might be doing some financials or something. So I really just try to give myself adequate time, and then everything else is on the list.
So, Shari, let me ask you this. If you were to go back 10 years, what would the Shari Williams 10 years ago be similar to the Shari Williams today? And where would she be a very different person than the Shari Williams today?
Well, if we go back 10 years, I think that we could find consistency. I've always done the modeling. I've always loved arts and entertainment. I'm still very much involved in those areas. I've always done event planning. I've always done public relations. I've been doing that for 25 plus years. So I'm still doing all of those things, and I love those things. And it kind of just fits into this part of the business very nicely. I think the difference between then and now is that I learned to love my business more than I love all these other things. And when you do that, you start to put more time into it. And then when you put more time into it, you can start to see the value, and you can see the commitment that you made. Other people will buy into it and make it as well. I didn't see that 10 years ago because I was more, hey, I'm in business. This is what I'm doing. Business was fine, but business is much better, and it's growing, and it can get even bigger and better because my vision is clear.
If you had to tell people who are thinking about entering business 2 things that they must be mindful of as business owners, what would those things be?
Well, one, you must be mindful of the fact that you have business goals, you have a core value system, and you have a mission. What is your mission of your business? I think one of the early mistakes I made was because I do a lot of different things, people didn't understand what it is that I actually was delivering as a service. So I had to try to streamline that. So streamline that message. If you can just bring it down to 1 or 2 things, 3 things, rather than 5 and 6 things, it's going to be better for you, because you don't want people to think that you're all over the place. So now that I'm more focused, these are the 3 things that I'm doing. People say, oh yeah, don't call her for that because she's not doing that. Call me for these things. So I think you have to streamline that process for yourself in order for other people to fall in line with that. That would be one.
Yeah. Well, that's really good, because as I said before, mission and vision and values are going to drive you to enjoy what it is you're doing and help bring others into the fold. Well, listen, Shari, this has been really fun, really amazing. I knew the time would just fly by, and it has. And I'm going to get you back here at some point with some of your students to talk about how amazing you've been for them and just learn more about this whole drone thing. But I think you've taught us a lot today about just being in business, just being self-employed and managing the various parts of our lives so that we can be excellent in every phase of our lives and enjoy every phase of our lives. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. And I do want to show you one thing. Here's one of my drones. This is a drone that I use to do roofing jobs and things like that. So as you grow in the business, the drones get bigger, the equipment gets larger, and you still have so much more fun. So I really do hope people contact me at my website or visit me on social media and get in.
I'm sure they will. Thanks, everyone, for joining this episode of Self-Employed and Rising, and we'll see you back here next Thursday at 4 p.m. I'm setting an example for my kids.
I got me a side hustle.
I have more control of my destiny.
I need multiple streams of income.
It's hard work, but I'm working for me.
A job is cool, but I need more.
It's all about being self-employed. You're tuned into the world of Self-Employed and Rising with Art Taylor, where we bring you the amazing stories of people who are challenging the odds and following their dreams of self-employment. Learn from their successes and be inspired. Hear creative ideas for your business and find tips to take your hustle to another level.